Thank you very much, Presiding Officer. Just at the outset, I'm quite sure that the workforce of Fergus and Merion will be quite delighted to hear the comments of Manus Sarwar earlier on in his opening statement. Presiding Officer, I wanted to speak in today's debate because this summer recess was certainly very different from my office. We received more calls, more emails from people struggling to afford to pay their energy bills now. This type of casework is sadly anticipated over the winter months, but not during the summer. And this wasn't just people worried about their bills in a few months' time. This is people worrying now, struggling now, before the cold weather has actually set in. I therefore welcome this year's programme for government that will build on the actions of this Scottish Government. Some of the support the Scottish Government has taken to support household budgets, such as the Scottish Child Payment, the Carers Allowance Supplement and the Council Tax Reduction Scheme. Today's announcement of the doubling of the Fuel Insecurity Fund from £10 million to £20 million will be welcome, as will be the flexibilities given to local authorities to use the discretionary housing payments, amongst some of the other announcements that the First Minister made today. However, the fact remains that the key levers in this crisis remains in the hand of the Tories in Westminster, and their inaction has caused huge anxiety for families and massive uncertainty for businesses. The summer of navel-gazing and blue-on-blue attacks has guaranteed more families and households and businesses will move into crisis. Food banks in my constituency have contacted me to highlight how demand for their services is rocketing. But as more and more people look to tighten their budget, donations to food banks are on the decrease. That will make it even harder for them and other third sector organisations who support the vulnerable people in my Greenock and Inverclyde constituency to continue to support those in need as the cost of living crisis deepens. Paul McLennan touched upon this in his comments. Now, his constituency is totally different from mine, but those similarities are very much there in terms of the understanding of what's actually going on the ground. I didn't get involved in politics to actually promote food banks. I get involved in politics to help people. And sadly, food banks at the moment are an absolute necessity to do that. And this financial crisis, this economic crisis that we currently face, being led by the inaction from the UK Government, is absolutely shocking and appalling. And sadly, too many people are going to die this year because of the inaction of the Tory Government. Child poverty is also expected to rise to the highest level since the peaks of the 1990s. And a further 3 million children will be plunged into absolute poverty without UK Government action. So, Presiding Officer, while I welcome the actions of this Scottish Government, I'm calling on MSPs across this chamber, but particularly those in the seats to the left, to ensure that their colleagues in Westminster work to deliver similar bold actions to help households across this country. I genuinely hope that the Scottish Tories will agree with me that Westminster needs to do more to help people through this crisis, and that Mr Ross will hold urgent talks with the new Prime Minister on the issue. However, with Liz Truss repeatedly saying that she is not in favour of, and I quote, handouts, it's fair to say I'm not going to hold my breath. This is despite the UN's Special Rapporteur on Poverty, Philip Alston, saying that the UK Government's policies have led to systematic immiseration of millions across Great Britain. Presiding Officer, during Challenge Poverty Week next month, it will be 1 year since the universal uplift was scrapped by the UK Government. It's not just the inaction of the Tories in Westminster that the Scottish Government are having to mitigate them. They are having to take decisions to deal with the harmful actions that the UK Government is taking as well. And regardless, with the limited powers that it has, the SNP Government is doing more than any other UK administration to tackle child poverty. The doubling... Sure?
Rachel Hamilton.
I think we'd all agree that school meals for P1 to 5s are essential, especially during the cost of living crisis. I'm just wondering why in the programme for government the First Minister said that they had been delivered when we know full well that they haven't.
Stuart McMillan.
Just coming on to that. So regardless of the limited powers that it has, the SNP government is doing more than elsewhere. The doubling of the free childcare provision to 1140 hours and expanding the provision of universal free school meals were designed to help household budgets, and they've never been more important. And I do welcome the announcement to act to extend this provision to primary 6s and 7s. I don't think anyone in the chamber could suggest that expanding any service is always going to be easy, because clearly it won't be. Whether it's my party in power here or whether it's Rachel Hamilton's party down at Westminster, but actually acting and trying to do something is really important as compared to the inaction from the Tory government in Westminster. The package of 5 family benefits for low-income families is providing unparalleled support for families, and I'm delighted that the Scottish Child Payment will increase to £25 per week per eligible child on the 14th of November, and applications will also open for all eligible under-16s from that date. And following the doubling of this payment to £20 in April of this year, that represents an increase of 150% in less than 8 months. Douglas Ross spoke earlier of the national parliament that we aspire to be. I wonder if he was actually thinking about the UK government's cruel 2-child limits. There's also the no cap on the number of children per family who can receive the Scottish Child Payment. Now, I wonder if Douglas Ross generally was actually comparing what his government have actually done in Westminster, punishing people, as compared to what this government here has actually attempted to do. So, Presiding Officer, I'm conscious of the time, so I generally do welcome this programme for government. It's probably not a programme for government that the Scottish Government actually would have envisaged at this time. But actually, it's a programme for government that is essential, it's necessary, and it's also a programme for government of its time. Thank you.